Hey troops, Royfield Geeks Adventures, woohoo! So doing a comic book graphic novel review today. As you know, I am an H.P. Lovecraft fan, and you flip through YouTube, you get the 5 billion list of things you want to look at, yada yada yada. And one of the titles that kept coming up for folks that were into Lovecraft's work, things pieces that were influenced by Lovecraft is this graphic novel mini-series from Image Comics. And there are some of you going, oh, okay. And there are those of you going, oh, yeah. It's called Nameless by Grant Morrison, with the art by Chris Burnham, published by Image Comics. And yes, this is a couple of years old, so I'm a little behind, but considering what the story was, they had to do it. This is the main cover itself. Nameless. What is the story about? Now, like I said, it's an H.P. Lovecraft influenced story. The title is based upon the main character's name is Nameless. The story is very much kind of like a cross between Constantine, at the Mountains of Madness, Armageddon, and everything in between, and just enough to make you go when the story's over. Nameless is the main protagonist. Now, what's happening is that, like Armageddon, there's this giant asteroid coming towards Earth. And what ends up happening is that, there's these consortium of scientists who come up to, hey, we can stop this thing. And what they do is they sign up our protagonist. His name is Nameless. He's kind of like Constantine in that he is an occultist, who knows many, many things, to the point where the reason he goes by the name Nameless is that, well, it's magic. Names have power. Anything that has your name has power over you. And he's basically drafted by this bunch of scientists. Hey, we can use you. And of course he's like, why? It's a giant asteroid. I'm an occultist. What is this thing? Is this like The Exorcist? Apparently, the giant asteroid coming towards Earth has a giant symbol on it that actually means many, many things. All of them bad. So of course, Nameless is going, oh great. So he joins a bunch of astronauts, scientists, yada yada. Like I said, Armageddon, to go up there to see what's going on and why. And it turns out that as the project moves forward, the fun part about this is actually, in these disaster movies, it's how are we going to redirect the asteroid? That's the easy part. the weird thing is that they found things on the asteroid. Now, if you're a fan of stories like this and films, whatever, like in, say, Underwater or Event Horizon, or of course, John Carpenter's The Thing. When you find things, that's bad! Very bad! And it turns out this is even worse than they anticipated, because what they ended up finding out is that this asteroid isn't just a giant rock with a funky piece of graffiti on it. It's a weapon from a war amongst gods. And we don't just mean little g, we mean big G, all in capitals. Everything, and now you're going, well, Lovecraft, which is where the Mountains of Madness influence comes in. As they get to the asteroid and they start poking around, that's when they start digging up more and more and realizing that this war amongst gods is a lot more apocalyptic than they anticipated. The scale we're talking about here, remember, when I said, at the Mountains of Madness, this is the scale we're talking about here. Structures that are thousands of feet tall with doorways that are hundreds of feet tall. There we go. Here's another overhead shot of the structures, and that in the middle, that's the ship that they're coming in on. It's there. I mean, you're hearing all these elements right now, and if you're a fan, you're hearing all these things right now. And if you're into Lovecraft or into Stephen King, all the boxes are being checked. Something that is not just it, if you remember Carl Sagan, ages ago talked about, the calendar of time in the universe, 14.5 billion years, and, we're like barely a fart in that time. Um, Lovecraft always kind of had fun with it, reminding us that, gods, come on, Odin, our gods, they're thousands of years old, and there are things that have been around for millions and millions and millions of years. And they look at us and go, oh, cute, sentient, stupid creature that thinks they know something. It's kind of what happens here. The reason now you're wondering, so what the heck do these have to do? These are the spacesuits that they wear as they're trying to deal with all of this. What ends up happening is that Nameless paints these glyphs on them like circles of protection. How effective are they? Remember, gods, big G. Oh, you thought your little pencil drawing would help? Oh, you're so cute. Now you're going, so do we get to see the inside of this thing? Well, that's where things get interesting. One of the things that's often talked about a lot with Lovecraft is that, unfortunately, it kind of becomes a trick. Talking about, these things are so unimaginable, all that stuff. And for a lot of, I imagine for a lot of contemporary fans or folks who are getting into it, they're like, oh, great, you can't imagine what. You couldn't imagine a cell phone either. You couldn't imagine H.R. Giger either. So, that old chestnut, at least for me, it gets old and boring really fast. Keep in mind, I don't think Lovecraft imagined these, okay? Or maybe he did, and that's why his writing was really weird and messed up. Anyway, but you get the idea. The art is an attempt to capture the horrific, absolutely just mind-bending horrors that occur as they explore this giant asteroid and realize that what they're taking on. It's that line from The Princess Bride. Inconceivable. I do not think that word means what you think it means. Kind of bordering on that. I mean, remember, we're talking about Big G here. And one of the things that they discover, like I said, is that this war of gods that took around millions of years. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. That's one of the safer panels that didn't involve a whole lot of blood and things being around. That's where a very important caveat comes in with this story. The story's amazing. At the end, what you have is a primer where Grant Morrison talks about, how he and Burnham, I guess they had worked on another project before. Burnham's like, you don't want to do the space monstery. And then, of course, Lovecraft comes up, and they're both like, yeah, but we don't want to do anything obvious. So what they did was they drew upon all these things. And one of the things you have to remember, and actually friends of mine who are theologians who have gone through seminary, they're like, the thing to remember is that, even in the Bible, and I think it's the book of Ezekiel, angels don't look like those pretty, wings and the halo. No, that's later. Angels originally look like things from H.P. Lovecraft. So, as the story gets more nightmarish, as Nameless discovers what's really going on, as this thing that they discover has been locked up into this asteroid is trying to escape, it does anything and everything it can to escape, and literally anything and everything. There is a level of violence that is horrific. So that's something to be wary of. All right, folks. I'm being very, very serious. This is another panel. This is also one of the least one of the panels that's least likely to make you go, oh hell no. I mean, this is kind of generic H.P. Lovecraft influenced art, but so what is the final word on this? It is an amazing story. The way it builds is wonderful because it starts very simple. You know, this guy gets dragged into this thing. He's like, oh, great, you know, great. You called me in to be the spook, whatever. And then as things move forward, we're taking jumps in time in the story and flashbacks to figure out how all these people got gathered together, so on and so forth. And realizing, oh, hell no, to which an otherworldly presence goes, hell is nothing compared to what you're about to see. It is a nightmare story. It is a complex, multi-layered story. It's a very, very violent, very unnerving story. On the back here, now you got the usual pricing and everything. Please note, it is rated mature. That is not to be taken lightly. And you're going, damn, you're beating that to death. Yes, I am. I'm very serious. There's some messed up images in this story. But again, it goes along with, this is a story of Lovecraftian intergalactic, astrophysics, theological proportions, with a whole lot of Quentin Tarantino level of plot. It's not a constant thing, but when it hits you like a sledgehammer to the crotch and kind of grinds it a little bit. It's not much of an exaggeration. So there you go. Like I said, it is a good story, but you got to be prepared. Not kidding. So there you go. Something to really unnerve you and make you go, geez, Roy, what the heck? Remember, all right. Remember. Anyway, y'all take care. To my peeps at Origins, hope you're having fun. Hope you're rolling well. As you go through your games, you're finding the loot you're looking for, and please be safe while you're out there, okay? May the force be with you, especially while you're trying to take on intergalactic gods that are going to make your head explode. Literally as well as figuratively. At the same time, may the odds be in your favor as you try and survive and you realize that, sometimes being dead is not the worst thing that can happen. And as always, be good to each other, okay, peeps? Y'all take care. Peace. Bye.